Okay, Tyler, we're going to do some of the Kingnip 2023 predictions. All of my students and people that love me and follow me and support me, hit my Cash App, make it clap, put my Cash App in the live. One of the men I want to talk about is Sam Bankman-Fried. I don't know if it's Fried or Fried. He was one of the creators and promoters of Bitcoin cryptocurrency. And that was the area. I don't remember the name of the video, but I did it maybe like a month or so ago. And when Nipsey was talking about predictions and investments, he said stay away from the crypto and go to the other forms of investment because the crypto wasn't looking too good. He had shown me it was going to crash, and that's why I brought up the man Sam Bankman-Fried, because he's in trouble right now, and I think he might have been the owner, or when he created it, owner of maybe billions of dollars of cryptocurrency, and now he's been accused of fraud, and he might be getting ready to apply for bankruptcy. And he was also dealing with Elon Musk. And I think he actually said some negative things about Elon Musk, and he wasn't trustworthy. But this man was not trustworthy either. So that market is really iffy and unstable. As I have told you, Nipsey said before, I'm not going to be on here too long. That's why I'm going right into it. And I'll come back and do the parts later, depending on how you donate and hit my Cash App, bitch. Hit my Cash App. Wobbly wobbly, drop low, grab your ankles and bend over. Goddamn it, pop your ass cheeks and make it clap. If you want this, because I'm sure there are other people you can learn from in investing. I'm basically trying to learn. This is new to me and repeat what he's saying to me. I don't really have to do this for free. This is something you can go find out on your own. I'm just telling you what he's saying directly. He said the crypto is flatlining. When he has been telling me to tell you about investments, if you notice or listen to my shows, I got to start titling this in my shows so I remember, because I say so much and I don't remember everything I'm saying. He said it's flatlining. He said right now it's not a good investment, but you do what you want. And what I like for you to do, as you know, as usual, to go and investigate what I'm saying and come back and tell me if I am perceiving his message wrong. Hello, everybody. Thank you for loving and supporting me. And the ones that do donate to me the best you can with what you have, I appreciate that. And the ones that don't, I ask you to donate and click like and subscribe and pass the videos around. That's only fair. I mean, yes, you can go somewhere else. I understand that. But you choose to come here and listen to my information. And I think it's only fair that I'm on a platform that I'm demonetized on, and I'm not allowed to be a partner. I'm putting this information out. And so I think it's fair that you donate to me so that we reciprocate and we help each other. Okay. So hit my Cash App, bitch, and make it clap. Put my Cash App in the chat. And I want you to check on what I'm saying, because he's saying basically the heart of, he said, listen to, of course, follow and trust your intuition and learn as much as you can about stocks and bonds and investments and coins. He's saying you want to get as much gold as you can. I don't care if it's a little bit here and there. And wherever you can start storing it or burying it or whatever, gold and silver. You don't want to focus on the crypto market. He's saying you don't want to focus on getting a whole bunch of stocks. He said if you get them, look for blue chip dividend stocks. So you can look those up on your own. I'm not going to go into the ones he told me to tell you unless you donate. That's only fair. But that's already giving you a big clue right there, blue chips, dividend stocks. And you can find the companies. You can look them up and see which ones you're trusting, you're comfortable with. And you don't have to buy a lot. That's not what he's saying. You can buy a little bit a month, a little bit at a time. But what the main important thing is that you want to be able to monitor it and keep up with it. You don't want to depend on somebody else to keep up with your stocks and monitor them. You have a broker, that's fine, but you still want to go behind them and monitor your own stocks. He said if you have them too big or too many, you every day you got to watch them, because the market goes up and down, and see what's going on with the stock market. He's mentioning oil again, like I told you all before. I think I did a prediction like coming from 2020 into 2021. A lot of those things I've said has already happened, as well as with illnesses and diseases. He's speaking about that too. But let me just quickly give you that little tidbit. I'm not going to go into too much, because I'm going to see how you treat me and support me. I'm not going to tell everything he told me. And I basically haven't wrote all of it down anyway, but that's the beginning of what I will tell you. He said, because it will fluctuate, and you want to watch oil from overseas and from Russia. You want to watch Russia, China, India, Israel, North Korea, Pakistan. What's the other one he's showing me? Why is this slipping my mind? I see a country in the Middle East begin with, yes, Afghanistan. He said, because these also tie into drugs and pharmaceuticals, and it affects the U.S. stock market and raising prices on food, pharmaceuticals, drugs, because some of them will not be available. Street drugs, as well as because a lot of the street drugs, as you know, are derivative of pharmaceuticals. They basically have some of the same sources, and they kill on a higher level, medical level. People die from the wrong prescriptions or allergic reactions, or get addicted. The same way with pharmaceuticals, as well as what's out on the street, and dealing with them being clean and quality, and then the generics, the superior brand and the generics. So you should also watch those stocks. And watch, I don't know if they have opportunities for people to get electric cars, battery operated cars, but the car market is crashing. Along with, if you're going to sell a house or buy a house, watch that. The interest rates are rising, and the housing market is crashing. And a lot of these cars, if you can just wait a little bit longer, the used car market is crashing. You'll be able to get nice cars or used cars for very, very cheap, because nobody wants them or people cannot afford them. And this economy, they're going to be more crashes with waterborne diseases and CDC, STD diseases that are passing at a very high rate, especially in places like Atlanta, South Carolina, New York, Philly, LA, DC, all these highly populated areas, Chicago, where there's going to be laws passing to take more people's rights and supposedly deal with gun control, which will tie into more death and prison for Black men and unwanted babies and even wanted babies living in a single home. That will also tie into the prison industrial complex, bisexuality, homosexuality, prostitution, drug addiction, which leads to more disease and death related around disease, as well as gas prices, utility prices, water prices. Didn't I tell you all also months ago there was going to be problems with electricity and rolling blackouts? Have you watched the news lately where they said somebody has been going deliberately to a couple of states now and has went into the electrical supply and shut down the electrical supply on purpose? Literally a form of terrorism, and caused a lot of people to be without electricity in this weather and dealing with the situations they're already dealing with, because people are having to choose between paying their utilities and their rents over buying a lot of food. And I don't know if this is true, but I kind of get the vibe it's going to be more layoffs from major companies, and benefits like EBT money and food stamps. It might be a problem with them withholding that from people in Section 8 or taking people off of the subsidies too. And that's really going to be bad for the economy. And it's really going to be bad for certain communities where those people that don't have is going to be literally trying to destroy the middle class and have a have and have not, only a rich and a poor. That's going to create a lot more crime and murder, because the people don't have those subsidies and they don't have adequate education and job opportunities, or they don't have the money to create companies and create their own jobs and their own source of supply. People are going to start robbing and killing, as well as more prostitution and child trafficking. This is still a really big problem: child trafficking, child prostitution, as well as adult sex trafficking as well, And he's saying body organ markets, that stuff in blood markets where people are buying and selling them on the black market and kidnapping people and consuming human flesh. Now, I've said this a lot of times, and now you hear more about this. Like I tell you, you're going to find people they're going to on the news, not only police getting killed by civilians and attacking them in gangs and police being involved in organized crime, but and you see that happening, crime just off the chain, people having a reprobate mind and being on drugs that send them into reprobate minds, which cause more crime and more death and disease, especially in the black community. But there are, and I did say you're going to find people in these houses and dead people's in the walls, and they find them trapped and buried in these goddamn houses, up in the attic, down in the crawl space, in the wall, in the yard, and people held captive and trapped in the house, used for sex trafficking and blood and food. A lot of people, I can believe somebody sent me this website, and this has been around for years. And even like when I was a teenager, I would see some of these movies on HBO. There were special chefs that were called into these elite, wealthy people's home, and they would get certain human bodies. And this is really true. You can find websites, they will tell you how to cook a human body, how to wash it, clean it, take the intestines out without bursting them and having waste get all over the tissue and ruin the tissue. How to separate them, what's the most delectable and tender part of the body to eat. How do you tenderize it? Let's say if somebody's very athletic and so they have a lot of harder, tougher, denser muscle tissue in the legs, the thigh, the calf, to tenderize that or to move around. Yeah, how to season the body. I saw them in this movie. They cooked whole bodies and had chefs. They had the right herbs and spices and laid it out on a banquet table. I mean, it absolutely looked beautiful the way they had the table designed. And then the human was laying there cooked. And some people have said to me, and I've even seen them, like cannibals said, that human meat is sweet and it tastes really good, just like Jeffrey Dahmer said he liked eating it. That's in certain bloodlines, and those bloodlines are not always white bloodlines. There are also black cannibals. When you look in Africa, there are certain tribes that kill their enemies and eat their flesh. And they claim those are extinct, but they're not, because there are also black people over here that will do that shit and are serial killers and like to consume human flesh. But you're taught that black folks don't do shit like that. Just like they say black folks don't commit suicide, and we know that they do commit suicide, and they do like to rape boys, rape girls, sex traffic them, and like to kidnap people and beat them and murder them and consume human flesh. He said more of that is going to be going on this website I saw. I'm just gonna find it and share it with you all. It said you should donate your body to be consumed because one human body can feed like 8 people. And I'm watching this. I don't believe I'm actually seeing this with my eyes. And that should tell you, if that's on a website, then people are already doing shit like that. And I remember a long time ago, I read this book. I don't know if it's the Nat. No, I don't think it's the Nat Turner Diaries. It's another book. I got to find the name of it, that was written by some very, very racist white people. Well, at least I think on Soil and Green, they're going to grind it up. This is not what I'm talking about. They actually talking about going in it where you could see it's a human body, cutting it up, and people sitting there eating all on it. But it was in this KKK, like these racist white folks wrote this book. I can't remember the name of the book. I see the cover, but I'm going to look it up. Where they were talking about, even in this race war, how they would go and cook and eat black people. As a way to survive and to exterminate them, like when it's okay to go out and be able to do that. You will have to be able to protect yourself in this end time and have all of your first aid supplies and your weapons and munitions for this. And really, he's saying, get out of the city. Because in the inner cities and where all these black folks at, and the needy ones and the ignorant ones, before they share with you and learn to make their own money and save, they would turn around and rob and kill you. You don't want to be in there, especially because that's the first place where the devastation and the deficiencies and the withdrawal of certain subsidies and healthy foods and healthy meats is going to occur. He was saying that if you get fish, I'm trying to understand, you all will probably that know more about this will understand more than me what he's trying to say. He said, don't get surface dwelling fish from like dirty water or dirty stores. You need to find out where each store is getting their fish from, and not from a fish farm that's been fed with lab created pellets, like artificial pellets and cloned fish and artificial fish. He said, because you don't, unless it says farm raised, he said, even when you say farm raised, you have to see what farm it came from and what it was given. If it's not able to develop in the wild in healthy water and whatever type of insects it eats without no pesticides in it and poison in it, and then you find out it's farm raised, meaning that it's a synthetic, like a man-made farm given pellets. You need to find out what's in the pellets. But anyway, when no matter how big or pretty a fish is, if it's been fed pellets, it's already not going to be as healthy for you. The flesh is not going to be as healthy. Said deeper water or cold water, like things you can find in the ocean, like Atlantic, like when I say Atlantic salmon, or anything that's found high up, like in an Arctic area, let's say Alaska, or any place where it's a deep water fish out of the ocean, and you know for a fact that, which is hard to find it, or I guess you'd have to go to a certain type of company that has a certain quality, even if you have to pay more. If you're really concerned about your family, or if you can't go hunt it yourself, you want to consider those things. Because if you buy things like that that are inner city saying, or that are farm raised, you open yourself up for your children to be open to disease or immunodeficiency compromise, because they can actually, their DNA can be altered from eating a cloned fish or eating one that's been exposed to plastic and a lot of toxins and certain bodies of water. So you will use people to learn aquaponics. Well, a lot of people just don't have the money or the time to do that. So the ones that they'll have to deal with people that do, or find out companies that do, where they can start stocking up now. So even if you have meats like deer meats or any other type of animal meat, you want to start collecting that now. And if you're a hunter, or you deal with people that hunt and get that meat, or you know where to go, or even to have go to a halal market where they know how to clean and dress it and drain it in a way that's halal or kosher. You want to get your stuff there, or take your animals to places like that and start having your deep freezers. He said in a separate house, even like if you want to have a smoke house, a meat house, but a separate house where you can store your meats and different, whatever you want to store, your vegetables, your fruits, your grains, underground. He said in some places where if you go, it's best not to have those things above ground, to have them underground. He says, well as underground sources of water, and not depending on the cities, because you're not going to always depend on it, because people with viruses, other diseases, men that want to be women, that are taking transsexual, different hormones and medications, other people taking medications, especially in Atlanta and other places, is full of that. It's in the water. Psych meds are in the water. So you're drinking this stuff, and then you're wondering why your little boys, little girls, boys want to be girls, girls want to be boys, feeling very feminine because they're drinking it. If you're dependent on that source for them for water and bathing, and it doesn't matter even if you're not drinking that water, but then you go take a shower, you put your babies in that water and you wash them, they're still absorbing the same water. You're not letting them drink. So, and that takes a lot of work and preparation and money, because that means you need a separate supply to wash your family, as well as to drink and sterilize and recycle. So those are things a lot of people are not going to be able to do. However, if you get with groups of people that are and that are prepping, some people will be helped because you'll have a community that supports each other. He's mentioning those. What else you have to realize too, when you're dealing with China and some of the other countries, because China just made some type of deal with Saudi Arabia, it's going to be China and as well as Russia and India. They're preparing for a cashless society, and China just bought a whole, like, tons of gold, as well as other countries that brought tons of gold. I have to get the exact numbers and put them back in here because I don't remember all the stuff off the top of my head. I'm just trying to do this quickly to introduce you to what he's saying. They're working on a cashless currency or a card. Biden is also working on a cashless currency that ties into crypto. I'm wondering how that's going to go when crypto, he said, is doing poorly right now. It's kind of flatlining. But they want to move it completely to a cashless society, but they're creating a really bad economy, and they're creating inflation by constantly throwing paper money. And when they gave them stimulus checks, them COVID checks, that only stimulated the economy for a temporary amount of time. When people ran out of the money or ran out of the checks, they had no jobs or no other way to make their own money. And now you see people are back to where they started were conning with the PPP loans and eating out all the time and buying stuff. And now restaurants and businesses are suffering. Brick and mortar companies are suffering, but online is doing much better where people can deliver things to your door. That money is backed by air. It's fiat currency. It's not backed by gold anymore. So it's like what, early 70s, 71, 72. People correct me if I'm wrong. It's not backed by gold. China is buying tons of gold along with Russia, India. Other countries are getting together to create their one world currency to compete with the U.S. And if the U.S. continues the way that it's going to fall. The value of the dollar will fall, and they will flip it to, he's showing me some type of card. It looks like a credit card, a debit card, but I'm not sure if it's going to be one or the other or both, one credit, one debit, or both in there, where your money, whatever you get, will be loaded onto a card where they will phase out the dollar. And then Russia and China, India, look up the other companies he was talking about, because from the very first day when Nipsey started giving me reading, he's kept talking about China, 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 and China was tied into his businesses in the marathon. And I didn't know what he was talking about. Now we find out the Asians in China is tied to the marathon, as well as the Asian stock market, and a lot of the companies in real estate has been bought up by China in Los Angeles or in California, period. And some of the roads in different parts of the United States, they're quietly buying this and buying tons of gold. They've already done it to secure the market and have more power in the market. And this ties into Africa too, and Saudi Arabia, and it's other countries. And a lot of them are African countries where China has put their foot in it and securing strongholds through real estate and factories, and merging with the blacks in these different countries and gaining control and basically running the stock market. And is basically going, and what they get, of course, any money is more powerful backed by gold. And they will have other, just like Putin and Russia, and dealing with the Ukraine, like Biden's going through the Ukraine to try to damage Russia. I'm not sure how well that's going to go, because Russia is also buying hoards of gold to be able to secure that market with other things of value, like oil, like gas, like wheats, different foods that have been exported through the United States. China is also doing the same thing, backing it with gold and other things. The U.S. will not be able to dominate them. They will be able to dominate the world market at the rate that this is going to right now. As a result of that, you want to look at these different currencies and the investment of gold, because that will end up being more powerful than the paper dollar, because they're going to end up phasing that paper dollar out. What did you say? The killer robots? I mean, we already know about the killer robots. I told y'all they was going to be released, and then I think it's either in San Diego or another part of California. They have already released that robot dealing with police department to the killer robots to attack people. Really? China has police stations here. Oh, thank you for donating to me. Somebody said cash up. Thank you, baby. Yeah, this is, yeah, atrazine. Yes, Jay, atrazine. And it's been in there to make fishes gay, frogs gay, male frogs have female organs or 6 feet and shit. I mean, really crazy. Thank you, boss lady. Yes, San Francisco. We can't compete with that. Yes, sir. Robot, what you said, Gemini saw robot patrols were used in China this year. Yeah, and they're going to basically reduce the natural human and reduce the natural female and basically have a transhumanism agenda that's been in place for a while. Now we see it all over the place, but then stopping women's natural ability to reproduce and then create justifications. Didn't I tell y'all that Nipsey said about that Elon Musk and that Starlink program, the satellite program tied to the brain mapping program? Do you see that Elon Musk has said experimental trials to go in your brain are getting ready to start soon? So you're going to have these programs where it's do or die. And if you want something to eat, you don't want to be locked up in a prison camp. You're gonna have to take this here chip, or you're gonna have to let us go in your head or something, and everything about you is gonna be on a chip in your body or in your head, as well as digitally downloaded into a card. Everything about you and what you can get and what you can't get, and just like mapping your brain and being able to take somebody's consciousness and soul out of their dead real body and put it up, load it in somebody else, just like in the Matrix. The movie's The Matrix. Y'all need to watch part 1 of The Matrix and go on from there, because we see now this has become a digital reality. Your whole world is digital. Just because they're saying your whole concept of who you are is in your memory and in your mind. They can exchange that, move around, move to other bodies, to the point that you'll have bodies and brains stacked, memories stacked, and chips of other people stacked on top of each other, where the person don't even know who they are no more, because they're exchanging these pieces and designer babies, and babies don't even belong to you. Just like that way, is it China is regulated how many babies you can and cannot have to a household? It's going to be done that way here, or your babies will be designer, genetically cloned, or you won't be able to have one, and registered, patented, not owned by you. Just like they're already patenting certain fruits and vegetables and foods, or making designer foods or Franken foods that are not completely real foods. That will be your only option. And then it will adjust your body and upload it by putting these computer chips and alterations in your body to shift you from really a humanoid, a human without a soul and without a consciousness. They're going to phase out over time real human beings they consider lesser beings and children of their God, of technology, that they want to rule and control the world, and coming through CERN. And those demons are already here. It's just like somebody had said the other day, we're out of the Jason period, so no more deaths, but there's deaths still happening. We're not out. You might be technically saying you're out of that, but I tell you, that goes into the first quarter of the next year. When you're dealing with different award shows and different athletic games, they're tied to that. And we're seeing some of the older legendary, like Kirstie Alley, and some of the other ones phasing out because they no longer serve the purpose, or their contract is up and they don't want to renew or don't want to comply. So they will move them out, and it's a big cycle. They're constantly moving and removing and putting new in. It's a fast moving cycle, and that's how they oil it, and then basically sacrifice the ones that they physically take or recycle them. He's telling me, okay, yeah, he's looking at the stocks and he's looking at the whole system, and it's crumbling, and it's all tied to, like he said, to the deaths. You know what? Lately, it's been too much on me to really watch a lot of this, like Takeoff, and some of these people I've already done readings on, and they say they arrested a killer, but I keep saying it's 2 killers. And you're saying he was shot twice, but it was the same gun, and somebody shot him in the back of the head, but police saying it was an accidental bullet, straight bullet. I don't believe that, and I think it's more than one. And I don't have, to be honest with you, they created so-called black culture into a death culture. Every time you turn it around, It's death. And every time you're talking about somebody, that the news is talking about somebody in the Black community that people notice, it's because they're dead. It's a whole death culture, and it's so depressing, and it consumes you with dark entities. And if you're not careful and you get so emotionally wrapped up in that instead of good things they do, you're going to bring that shit into your house, into your bed, into your home, and around you and around your family, because it is a very heavily possessed and destructive death entities, crucifixion deities that they have put on that culture that is really not a real Black culture, because that's a culture that they have created that cannot sustain itself, that depends on someone else, their slaves, and does not care about its woman or its children or its community or their survival or their thriving, and that don't give back to their community but pussy, money, weed, sex, and death. And the sex they offer is not a family based mother, father, child community and unity where socio and economically based to be wealthy and to thrive. It is a premise that is based on take out of your community, take out of your woman, leave your children and give them drugs and guns and gang culture and violence, which ultimately leads to death and no economic self-sufficiency and independence. So the community dies and starves. And then you teach the children that are left with their mother who can barely feed them and survive to be thugs, to be criminals, to be gangbangers, and repeat the cycle and feast and prey on each other. But that's Black culture. That's hip hop culture. It's not a culture that I want. It's just death. And people on top of them that really control them and enslave them in their contracts, those are the ones that are making billions on it, taking it back to their families, because they're not bound in the same cycle. And now it's just depressing and it's exhausting to me. I even had to pull away from the Shanquilla thing, because so many people keep talking, and recycling information or challenging each other on the information and fighting each other. And the feds are not going to tell you everything that's going on. They're not going to give you links. They're not going to give you information. They keep in a close hand to it, and I totally understand it. They're not going to give the criminals information and give y'all information. They know what they're doing, and there is undercover movement in this, and they don't have to tell you. Just because they don't tell you doesn't mean that nobody's being held. In these type of cases, they usually don't release real information to the public. And even her mother has been doing interviews like she did with Nancy Grace. And she said the FBI has not even told her anything, or if they're being held or not. She doesn't know. And I seen like a couple of weeks ago, they said the mother said she did know, and there were no arrests made. I'm just hearing this back and forth. That's why at this point, I'm not saying anything. It's just so exhausting. And I'm not going to get in that energy. And it's just every time you turn around, we're looking at, and people are talking about and discussing and doing readings on what, like 3, 4, 5 people's deaths right now. That makes them famous. Nobody loves you until you kill somebody, until you die, until you are killed. That's the death culture in this society. And people that sell these records and give them deals, that's what they glorify, a nigger death culture, a ignorant death culture that can give you jail over fame and give you hell over fame and turn you to goddamn it Lil Uzi, honey. I have to back up, because I don't want that energy constantly following me, and that I'm constantly thinking about, and that's the only thing I'm doing reading about, because you know what? Nobody else wants to hear anything else. The people that they love, they want to know who you fuck and how big your dick is, how much money you made, who you was talking to, who's sucking your dick. And they get murdered. Everybody's fascinated with them because they're murdered. And now you've turned them into a deity. You've turned them into somebody immortal. You push them, force them out of their body. You kill their physical body. And now they're disembodied, but they're still here roaming around. And now they're fantasizing and deifying the person. And they're only more fascinating to you because they're physically dead. and then they make them famous, even bigger than what they are, and then put their old tracks and shit back out. Just like Irene Cara from Fame physically died, like, what, a couple of weeks ago, but nobody's really talking about it because it's just been overshadowed by so many other deaths. They probably gonna release her shit too. And they make you immortal and a superstar once they have deified you and killed your physical body and disembodied you, and then pulling you back down, put them back on the track, put them back on sale, put them back up there on iTunes and shit. But then when the person's physically here, they're struggling to survive when they've gotten tired of them, or they don't want to resurrect their career, so they got them disembody them and lay them down and then bring them back up for their own financial gain. I'm seeing this pattern, and it's sickening to me. And while a lot of y'all are consumed with that and watching that, they're doing what I just told y'all and bringing this economy down. And a lot of people don't, well, that's too hard and I ain't never studied that. So get to study it. So take a class, read a book, or get someone to lead you in it. This information is all over YouTube and everywhere else now. Even if you start small, like I said, if you don't know a lot about stocks and what to buy, and then I wouldn't suggest it. Nipsey was saying, don't buy a whole bunch of them because you need to monitor them. If you don't, and then it's crazy because they go up and down. It's something you cannot stop. So get something's more stable. I guess that's why he mentioned blue chip. But if you got gold or silver, you don't have to monitor it. It's right there in your house or wherever you put it at, so that you will have something more valuable than a paper dollar to exchange. Because he says it's going to get to a point, if it doesn't happen in 223, it's coming by 225. A lot of the value of the U.S. paper dollar that's fiat currency, that's not backed by precious metals like gold, is going to have little to no value, and you will starve. Things like stock, things like real estate, okay, you want to hold on to. Even if you're selling it, if the conditions improve, if not this year, then into next year, if you sell it, you want to get enough to go buy you something else. You don't want to be without land. I don't care if you own the land and get you a trailer, a shack, or something to put on there. You want to have some real estate. You want to have some precious metals. You want to have different forms of currency that is more valuable than the US dollar alone. You want to invest in markets, and you want to invest in commodities and things that you can start hoarding as important commodities that you can buy, trade, or sell if it gets very difficult like that, and have your own sources of water supplies, as well as different forms of treatment, herbs, other plants for diseases. If you're out here having sex with these people, or you get exposed to these people, he said there are new viruses. Didn't I tell y'all in California? I have been saying that for 3 years now. You better watch it. It was new strains of COVID that were hitting LA, and that was also tied to synthetic drugs and people smoking these drugs and those pipes, hookah pipes. I'm not sure if I'm saying the right thing, but they smoking that vaping thing and artificial cigarette cartridges and causing cancer and totally destroying the lungs, and artificial forms of weed that were also tainted and coming from Mexico and other places, and these new strains of COVID. Didn't I tell you before this happened? Now in California, you got new strains out there, some B strains of BA. And what he said is going to tie to new forms of STDs and cancer that are going to rise, and people having spontaneous heart attacks, even young people, unexplained spontaneous heart attacks, really bad blood clotting issues where they will not be able to solve them. Syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, yes, but not so much chlamydia. It's going to be like the gonorrhea and syphilis, other forms of STDs that are already real, and HIV. He said HIV, AIDS, hepatitis. You need to watch, because I think in some ways, depending on how you deal with your sex partners, hepatitis could possibly be passed along with certain seafoods or I guess if you're dealing with somebody who do drugs and engaging in needles, he said that's a big issue that's going to continue to climb. He said, along with different types of influenza and flus, that is not a regular flu. He said it's tied to HIV and AIDS, and people were thinking somebody's dying of pneumonia or a lung disease or upper respiratory problem or COVID, and it's going to be tied to the STD, HIV, and AIDS. He said, and then you're seeing these strains mutate and merge together. Literally species, or I don't want to say species, but I guess it's viruses jumping and like mutating, even with the medications mutating, because a lot of these people are having unprotected sex and big parts of group sex. And they're telling me it's in Atlanta real bad with bisexual black men and men that like to sleep with transgenders. Some of them already have it. And then they get with these men and take it home to their girlfriends and their wives, and the wives don't know that this is the lifestyle. He said, especially you're going to see it in entertainment. He says, real bad with rappers and singers and actors. He said, entertainers, dancers, these people in these conscious communities that believe in free love and polygamy. He is saying this stuff is bad already in Atlanta. You'll see a lot of these black folks hospitalized in these hospitals. Either you'll know them because you ain't going to really know about it unless you know somebody, because they're not going to tell you. Or you see people being rushed into the hospital, real bad cold and cough, and it turned into the flu, and then they find out it's something else, but they'll tell you they died of the flu or, upper respiratory infection and shit, and it makes them immunocompromised and totally wipes out the immune system, and they'll be in there, and a lot of them ain't gonna get out of there alive. They'll get out of there through the morgue and have to have that body sterilized or what do they call it? Isolated and like a contaminated body that everybody can't get near touch without no mask on. Without like I seen them in them whole, I just seen somebody in a whole hazard outfit, and this see here the monkeys is. The monkeys done came in this here, and the monkeys told me that they getting this out of animals, like monkeys and rats. They experiment on them and put them out here and have them come in contact with cats and raccoons, and they circulate. If you see like in certain areas where they said the rats was real big like cats in New York City, and they start circulating in a certain area, you have to be careful, because if you got a house cat, don't let that cat go outside and eat outside and roam around outside. You need to disinfect that cat. It's not safe. And make sure you get rid of any type of infestation of anything, because even roaches will carry a certain diseases and viruses and stuff, or be expose you to it, depending on where they're coming from, underground and in sewers and around. He's saying this monkey is telling me that they're experimenting with them and create certain diseases, and then put them in a certain area. He said, and injecting them, and then this is transferring out to humans. He said some of it even is like in a vapor. He said, but they'll target only a certain area, like race specific bioweapons in a certain group of people. And unfortunately, that's mostly black folks. And he just mentioned Nipsey said, like Tuskegee experiment. To give them things and say that they helping you, but really helping your ass down. He said in Atlanta, this is real bad. He said it's going to come up real bad, where we will see people's down here that's in these. He said it's people with money, affluent people that circulate in these so-called bougie, upper class ass circles. He said most of them deal with prostitutes, male and female prostitutes. As regular folks, and are going to a hood level, like where you think they wouldn't be, prostituting like online and on these social networks, these apps where you can meet folks and have them come to your house, or dear people really ain't got nothing like hustling. The lower the person is, as far as prostitution, the person that's got the more money and influence want them because they feel more comfortable and free and relaxed with them, and they'll do anything they say. And they can take out their fantasies and exploit the person. He said most of these men don't like to use a condom. They don't wear a condom, and they have a don't ask, don't tell policy. And they're passing these things and they don't know and they don't want to know. When these people come to them prostitute, they already got some. Even if they taking PrEP or something else, they are still having unprotected sex. And even though it's undetectable or they claim it won't pass, it will open the door for other immunocompromising infections. He said, and those were tied to the lungs and the upper respiratory system, coming in the form of a cold or a flu, and then escalate. And those type of viruses or a flu that you think just is a regular flu, they may not be. You have to be careful because the viruses that commingle when they keep having sex and passing around, even with medication and passing the medication into another person's body, will make them resistant to the antibiotics, and they will not be able to survive because they've gotten, they could get a buildup of the medication in them, and they don't know they have it by having sex with somebody that's already got that shit in their system. You see what I'm saying? That's what he is saying. Well, anyway, I'm going to go because I've been on here and I've given you enough of an intro. Mullein flower is not going to cure HIV and AIDS. And it's not going to cure an upper respiratory infection when you got that type of virus. I'm sorry. All these herbs y'all mentioned, that is not going to cure all of these diseases. Thank you, Brown Sky said the rat problem is real bad. And see, they're deliberately letting it be like that. And they're walking around with diseases. And if they bite you, or if you eat something they touched, or a water supply, it will fuck you up. And echinacea golden seal does not heal HIV and AIDS and all those types of opportunistic viruses that come with that. No, it doesn't. You can't even fuck with a lab engineered virus and disease by using some echinacea golden seal. I don't even know why y'all spreading it. Please don't spread it in my group because I'm going to debunk it because y'all know it's not true. It's not true. And you know it's not true. That by itself, well please provide proof. Because I'm not going to argue with you, but I already know it's a lie. You can get all the herbs you want. And when you deal with those types of cancers, which HIV is a form of cancer, and so is AIDS, and it's sexually transmitted, and then the other viruses with it, a herb by itself is not going to cure those viruses and those immunocompromising diseases. Yes, and like Camp Lejeune, thank you, a herb ain't going to kill that. Yeah, they're used, and asbestos not, No, I get what you're saying, Fly God, but baby, please just don't. If you want to believe that, that's fine. But until you've had that type of disease, or you've worked with someone that had that type of disease, that's a bioengineered disease, and you can prove to me that that's all you gave them and it cured them or it cured you, let me know. Because you would have to combine it. It's just like people try to tell me, oh, we'll take this black seed oil and that's going to get rid of your upper respiratory and that's going to get rid of your no, that by itself don't kill no mold. I'm lucky to be alive with all the mold and the leaks I've dealt with, because I would try those things, and that by themselves, I had to combine them with medicine. That by itself is not going to do it. And I know that for a fact. And that's actually what poisoned me. Trusted somebody like the one from D Health Store that gave me all those herbs that were contaminated and nasty. That's what created my health problem, because herbs can be toxic to a human. Herbs can kill you. They can fucking poison you. If you don't know you're allergic to it, or it's not a a herbalist that deals with formulas that gives you the right combination for your body and where it works with you, you can die from herbs and you can get very sick from herbal poisoning or make you bleed out to the point you become so anemic that you need a fucking blood transfusion. So, nah. Now, even those are not good for everybody. I know for a fact because it happened to me. I don't know what's wrong with Nick Cannon. I never did a reading on him. I thought he already discussed what type of disease he has. Hey, Sarah, mother. Hey, beautiful baby. Talking about pneumonia. Bet it is. He probably got what dribble. Who, babe? Who y'all talking about? Got something. I'm talking about. Yeah, there's more to it than just saying. Yeah, you need to really have a herbalist that formulates herbs, that's been trained and know what they're doing and makes it on a case-by-case basis. Because that's why how I got sick and almost died. And now my glands swole all up from trusting this nigga taking these goddamn herbs from California in the con science community. And that trust almost lost me my fucking life. Or caused me to be crippled. My hair fell out and every fucking thing. And there's a storage in the medical field of some supplies and medications. Y'all better watch yourselves and not depend on healthcare being available. You want to find doctors that are also into homeopathic stuff, because all doctors are not bad and all drugs are not bad and they can save your life. Because if you break your leg right now, you break your arm right now, I don't give a fuck what you say. Ain't no golden seal and echinacea gonna fix your bone on your damn leg and on your motherfucking arm and stop you from getting infected. You have to take your ass to a medical doctor to clean your limb and your joint and repair your broken bone. Or you're gonna be fucked or lose it. Have it amputated. Taking some shit like that, knowing you got a broken motherfucking bone or damaged tendon or ligament, you will need surgery. So unfortunately, but fortunately, anybody that got any sense will combine both modalities and not just depend on one. Your diet, sure, your exercise, certain herbs that are created for you instead of trying to get a one size fits all, and the right doctor and the right treatment. And sometimes surgery and other treatments and therapy is needed. Yeah, sometimes you have to combine them, even Asian medicine, different forms of medicine. You have to do both depending on what's going on with you and what happened to you. And that was my problem. When this nigga had poison, I got so sick. I did not want to go to a medical doctor. I felt like herbs treat everything, they could fix it, but the herbs and overdoing. Because when I talked to another herbalist, he said, read to me what's in some of them D Health store products. And I read, he said, one thing, red clover, that's why you bled so bad. He said, because too much of red clover will make your period come on and cause your uterus to spasm, as well as deal with abortions and make you bleed like a motherfucking dog. You could hemorrhage to death. And I still wouldn't fucking go to the doctor, and I'm bleeding for 30 days, day and night, wake up bloody than a motherfucker. And I'm trusting this fucking man to give me these herbs. And when I read him the female cleanse, I was trying to do a female cleanse and I'm bleeding like hell. And I'm feeling sick and didn't know that I was losing so much iron, and plugs of hair started coming out of my goddamn head. And I felt like I was dying, trusting this nigga taking this shit. And he was saying, if he's not a chemist, and he said he was formulating this stuff for D herbs and was fucking lying. When I told him that he should have known and he should have had those things measured properly, but I didn't know. And I'm trusting this nigga from the con science community, a black man who's supposed to be God and got all the goddamn answers, and I almost lost my fucking life. So y'all don't come over here with that shit, because I know, see, I don't use relaxers. I had to stop all of that. And then on top of that, taking that shit, my hair just fell out of my fucking hand. That's why I had to start wearing a wig in 2013. A fucking mess. And this man was laughing and watching the shit and thought it was funny. Then said I was bleeding out and I got so sick and swollen up because I was a prostitute drinking cum. I had been a prostitute for 20 years. Y'all seen my old videos. I had a head full of thick wavy hair in 2006 and 2007. With them, that shit never happened to me before. I wasn't even relaxing my hair, and I was slim and fit. I was never a fucking if I was drinking cum for 20 years, why my hair never fell out and why I never swole up and got sick like a blowfish until I started taking his motherfucking products when he left D Herbs in 2012. right after I did the goddamn Amari show and went out and did Tosh.0 at Comedy Central in LA. When that nigga gave me that shit, I started swelling up within 24 hours, but I'm a hoe. Okay. So y'all got the wrong one. Please don't come up and tell me you got to do this urban drink, this black seed oil and that shit. That didn't fix all my problem. I'm still recovering from that shit because I did not take my motherfucking ass to a goddamn medical doctor because I'm thinking all this God shit and this black man God shit and this conscious shit and take this herb and take that herb. And the more I bought from this nigga, the sicker I got. And when I'm going and they checking me, they're telling me we don't know what this is. Because I don't want to tell on this nigga, this so-called black man that's God, that white folks holding down and the white man holding down. So help this God rise and believe in that black God. I didn't want to tell them or take the fumbles to him and show them what this nigga had did to me. And they're checking my blood and urine. They're like, we don't see any diseases in you. We don't know what the fuck is wrong with you. And it was clear I was having allergic reactions to the shit he gave me. And then when I talked to the health department in California, they went over there and inspected. That nigga was nasty than a motherfucker and had employees in there. And the employees told me I wasn't the first one they did it to. But the other people was too scared to come out in public like I did. And he was trying to destroy me and make an example of me and call me a whore. But to this day, it has not been proven that that's what I am or that's what I'm doing. Now, I'm from Atlanta and I was born in Atlanta and I ain't never left here. So I said that to say this. Since I've been here all my life, it would be easy to get that information about me and have niggas come forward and show their face and name, which I beg for people to do, to see if that's what I did and that's where I got it from. But I ain't never been a prostitute out of my house or drinking strangers' cum and all that bullshit. And like I said, if I was, why wasn't I looking like that when I did my first show at People TV Public Access in Atlanta in 2006 and 2007? I've never been sick in my life. I've never had an issue or an immune problem or a hair problem, none of that in my life until I took that nigga's shit, the Hootie My Aunt Rob from D Health Store. I've even asked him to prove it. And in 2022, going into 2023, he still hasn't produced any evidence of the shit he said about me. But that's the thing about nigga motherfuckers too. A lot of black people believed him and attacked me and listened to what this nigga said and still can't prove what the fuck he said. They just take his motherfucking word. I almost died behind trusting black people and black females who said, we're not going to attack him because he didn't do it to us. He did it to you. Until other people, you can Google D Health Store complaints to see that I'm not lying and I'm not the only one. See, that's why I don't go to this herbalist and that herb. Don't tell me what herbalist to go to because I'll never do that again. Unless I know you and I know for a fact you've been trained and I can see your degrees and I can see your lab and see references and you haven't done that shit to somebody else. I'm not going to no more black herbalists because you believe in them. Your ass go over there. And if what happened to me happened to you and you went there and it healed you, you can let me know and give me the evidence, not your word, but show me the proof of your shit. But if it didn't happen to you, what happened to me? And all the dirty shit, then on top of that, living in the house with a dirty nigga also let mold be in here and leaks when he was in control of repairing it and he did not. But there were other floods he could not control, but the other things like other people's houses he could not control what they did or who they rented it to, but it affected the whole building. But the things inside of it he could control, he did not. And now I'm stuck with having to clean those things up that I could not control when I was a tenant. And it's my life, and it doesn't matter that somebody else fucked it up that I trusted. It's still my responsibility to save my life and clean my body up. But I will never, I didn't mean to go there, but when y'all keep saying that shit about, well, it can be cured with this herb, that herb. No, it fucking can't. Because I know more than you think I know. Because I suffered from it. You clearly didn't. If you think that's the solution to everything. Because some herbs will kill certain people or cause an allergic reaction in them and make them very ill and damage them. Yeah, it was black folks that did it. It wasn't no white man that did that to me. I even had to go to Asian herbalists in Atlanta to get things from them and to white people that were dealing with because niggas did it to me. So y'all need to do your research on things and be willing to go on the medical side and the holistic side, because all doctors, medical doctors, are not evil, and all of them do not want your organs, and all of them do not want to kill you, and all of them do not want to hurt you, and all herbalists do not want to save you either and protect you and do analysis and create formulas based on your life, your health, your diet, and what region you're from. And what they don't fully examine. This man never did any type of exam on me or iridology or asked about my medical history. He was selling this stuff, the same thing, to everybody, and then would attack you and slanderize your whole reputation if you say that this nigga made you sick. And like I said, Google D health store complaints, and you will say I'm not the only one it was done to. I mean, I can't see the chat. Somebody was making a comment. Mellow. They said, well, Miss Tyler, that was the jealousy and serpent nature of a woman, but you could not be stopped. It was a man. It was men and women involved, but it was a man that calls himself the Hootie Ma'at Ra, like the Egyptian gods. Is supposed to be so wise and full of wisdom and knowledge. He did it to me, and he did it to a lot of people. And his employees felt so sorry for me. They started to tell me what he had done, and I wasn't the only one. And he attacked and turned on them too, and publicly insulted and degraded and humiliated them to make nobody want to believe anything that they said. But they knew, because they were in there and they saw that mine wasn't the only case. And when he would do it to women, he would ignore them and let them suffer, like he really secretly hates women. So please find somebody else to preach to, okay? Because unfortunately, I've endured a lot of painful, dirty, evil shit from nigga motherfuckers. And I'm still here to tell the story. Yeah, skin peeling, but a lot of these black men wanted to be his wife, wanted to share him with other wives, admire him, and looked at him because he had money. And he seemed very intelligent and talked the talk, but was really a very self-hating and woman-hating and sick individual. I was looking for answers from men too that I thought were better because they had more money than me, and because they were more read and more respected, because I did not really trust or respect myself. And then these men would always put me down and said I needed them, I need to learn from them, I need to listen to them. Every time I listened to something like that from a black woman saying that, or a black man and looking up to them, I always got stolen from and fucked over and screwed. So that's one thing those things did teach me, because it was something about him when I looked in his eyes that looked like a vulture. If you look in his eyes and talk to him, he looks real dirty in the eyes. His eyes are black, just like Nipsey's baby mama, and he looks evil and like a vulture and very vindictive. I didn't want to believe it and trust myself, but I saw that I was right. I didn't even do nothing to that man to make that man do that to me, but I saw how much hatred he had for me when he did that to me, which is clearly something within him that been wanting to do that to me. Like certain men will target certain women, they want to destroy them and take them down, and you don't even have to do anything to them. It's just some issue they have with you that you don't know about. You said, I saw that funny looking guy. Is there anything we can do for you now? All people can do is support me and donate to me so I can continue to get well and rise. And then, because I have programs, like we're going to talk about that, probably not right now, talk about the classes I want to do on vagina power, spiritual sexuality, as well as healing the childhood wounds and the mother wounds. A lot of the wounds. And as I, cry and I let you know I feel my, that I'm okay showing my pain to you, and I tell my stories and I share them with you, I'm still not a weak person. And you all have supported me, made me strong, and I work on myself every day so that I can be strong going through the healing, because it's a lot. And I'm sure it's going to take the rest of my life. And I dedicate every day to doing that. But as I do that, I also create healing tools and modalities, basically in the energetic realm, that I use the exercises myself to work through them. And, I didn't see you all comment a lot on what I told you the other night when I was sitting in Nipsey's room and in his chair talking to you about what I've overcome, and you did not think that I did. And Gemini, I think is it Gemini's song? I think Gemini is the one. She responded when I asked the question, well, I think it's a she, I could be wrong. And I said, would you trust me? And would you want to take my class if you felt like I was still in the same position and unstable and being a tenant and being manipulated and letting that guy come in and out of here? Like he's still just a week or so ago and right before my birthday. And after it wants to come back into my life after he literally tried to destroy me. And because I used to let him come back, not being weak, but dealing with my religious Jesus principles, where my grandmother and everybody else would say, well, just forgive him and Jesus gonna work that out. And, he trying to apologize. Then he would go to her and my grandmother then would come to me, which I'm sure on the low, he probably gave her some money, like that Ike and Tina Turner shit. And I'm thinking, and he seemed so sincere, but I didn't realize this guy was a compulsive liar and so extreme supreme narcissist. I would let him come back, and then he would do the same, steal from me again, set me up again, sucker punch me again. This time, I did not allow that. He was big and real, real bad, which shocked me because he said, I'm gone. I'm through with you. I'm tired of this. I can't believe you did this to me. I said, oh, fought back? Okay. I'm gone, and then doubles right back and has been watching everything I've been doing and wanting me to let him back in and saying, why can't you just forget everything I did this time like you did in the past and let me back in? And I'm like, I didn't forget anything you did. But when I bring it up, that's a lie. That's a lie. I didn't do that. And then they want to look over and they want you to look over it. And basically, that's someone that's your assassin. That shows when you let someone, because they're your mom or a family member or a lover, or you feel like, where am I going to do? What am I going to eat? Where am I going to go? This person's got me over a barrel. I have nothing because they've stolen everything for so many years. That shows you cannot be trusted to be loyal and true to yourself. You are your worst enemy, and you've been taught, like I was, through childhood and religion, to have no sense of self-honor, knowledge of self, and self-preservation. You've been taught to let anything and everybody come and you preserve them, but they destroy you. It's like a slave mentality. Like you living on a plantation in a raggedy ass house with a piece of wood and a few nails and gaps all in the wood so that you freeze in the motherfucking winter and you burn up in the goddamn summer. And then you get out and you go to the big house. Massa, what is we's gonna eat today, Massa? And what is we gonna do about them slaves running away out there? Well, I ain't gonna say nothing, but Abraham went over there and is plotting to escape and go to the promised land with Moses. But don't tell I said, and then they go beat your relative or somebody that's living out there in the shack with you that's another fucking nigga slave. And you'll turn to pull against them. And I wouldn't dare run away, master, because we is family. And they created millions of dollars of wealth, stealing from you, selling your children, taking your land, taking your birthrights, and giving you a false knowledge and a false God. But you will honor that God and do what you can to fight for them because your slave master is God, and then deny yourself, turn on yourself, and destroy everybody that looks like you, including you. You have no sense of self-preservation because you're taught that's not what you do. You're not worthy of self-preservation. You preserve the God outside of you, and you honor them, and you clean up and you build their empire for them while you subsist and being treated like a dog living out in the dirt with nasty clothes on and shit caked up in your ass, and women working so hard with no water and no adequate diet and supplements, and they're so tired in that hot sun and carrying baskets on their head, they shitting babies out while they standing out there in their goddamn cotton field because they can't even have maternity leave and have health insurance and an adequate diet for themselves and their children, eating scraps and eating pigtails and pig guts with shit all in them. That's how you're taught whenever you do something like that. And whenever you let somebody in that comes to abuse you, you keep on honoring and respecting your assassin. because you have no sense of self-preservation and no value for self. Subliminally, that's what you're saying. And this is the first time I stood on that principle. And instability, and felt even more shaky and unstable. That wounded little girl in me decided to stand up and fight for the first time, and felt so scared to do that and was shaking while I did that, and said, no, I better sit down, it's safe. And it was not safe. The more you sit down and you let your abuser steal from you and you have no sense of self-preservation, you're really dying and becoming more of a victim and setting up a more unstable future, because your foundation is built on nothing but fear. No rights, no real estate rights, no ownership rights, no bank rights, no education rights, no degrees. But you're quiet because you're afraid. And how am I going to get out? And you're afraid to find a solution secretly as well. And you will die. You're already dying mentally, emotionally, and physically. You will die financially and you will die physically, because now you're at the whim of your slave master and your oppressor, because you have no power. And that was the first time in my life that I actually said it was do or die, because he wasn't offering me a yes or a no and a middle ground. There was no middle ground anymore. It was so bad. He was like, I'm not giving you an option to help you get out of this unless you still do what I say. I'm going to destroy you and I'm going to humiliate you and throw you outside. It's either you stay here and now you have to pay, force me to pay. You're going to pay me rent and I'm not selling it to you. I changed my mind. And this nigga actually said, I owed him back rent of months. You owe me back rent. You stay here, you pay the back rent, and I'm jacking it up. And then you pay me new rent this month forward, or you get out. I mean, it was so fucking dirty what this nigga did. It was just like no in between ground. And you're already behind and you owe me 3 months. I mean, just the shit got more fucking dirty. Unless we talk about something sexual. And it's like, I don't want to say this, but Nipsey was watching it and he started just when he was cursing me out and going off me, he said, didn't I tell you that this was going to happen to you in 2019? And I told you to prepare and I told you to look for a place to go or reestablish yourself. And I was like, I was sick and you know I was sick. He's like, I don't care. I told you, didn't I tell you he was going to do this to you? And I told a couple other people to check it and they were like, he's right. You better start looking. That was in 2019. Like a little bit after he got here, he told me he was going to do it to me. He's like, I know what you like and I know what places you should start looking at. And I got scared and he was like, it's funny that even though I'm physically dead, you believe everything else I say to the point you get out and say it in public. But when I'm telling you this guy is going to turn on you again, he's going to attack you again, and he's going to put you out and then come over here and try to make you give him sexual favors to stay, you don't want to believe that it's really real and that you're really hearing me say it. And I was like, it's not that I don't want to believe you, but I mean, people say I'm crazy anyway. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not really seeing you and hearing you hear me. He's like, you know that you hear me and you see me. This guy's going to fuck you over. And he's going to come and try to, like, I guess I would say pimp you out or something. He's like, he's going to try to make you do that for your supper and stay here. And if you don't do it, and then he's going to put you out. And what are you going to do? He's like, please, Alexis, prepare. He's going to do it. And he kept saying, I was like, nah, I don't think I'm hearing it. And then he came over here and did it. And a little after that, that's when he fell. And now he's fallen again. And I'm like, wow, you choose to be this dirty and low down, and you have fallen again, and you have to get surgery on your back, and you still dirty. Wow, okay. Some people that's just the way they're wired. And he looked at me when he told me to fight, and I was just shaking. And my heart was beating so bad, I thought I was getting ready to pass out. So scared, and I was so nervous, and my legs were so swollen, and my feet were so swollen, I couldn't walk when he started doing that to me. And I was just terrified. And I'm like, I can't get this stuff out of here in 2 weeks. And he looked at me, and I could see his face, and his eyes started to squint up really, really little. And like his mouth, like he started like balling up his lips. He like pulled his lips. Like, you know how when somebody's getting real mad and they like ball their fist up, and then they eyes start squinting up, they start squinting their face up, and his lips started getting he started squinting his mouth up like he was gritting his teeth at me. I believe Nipsey had a bad temper because of the way he was looking at me. He said, you know what? I feel like beating your ass. And he was like, you know what? If I was in my body right now, I'll just come in there and beat the shit out of you. And I was like, really? You like beat my ass? And he was like, I feel like beating your motherfucking ass. And he's like, that's what I would do. If I could right now, I'd beat the shit out of you because you acting so fucking stupid like a weak punk ass fucking bitch. You've been letting this nigga do it. And I was like, yeah, this right, I am a punk bitch. I've been a weak. He's like, shut the fuck up. I really want to do something to you because you acting so fucking weak. And that's not what you are. He's like, Alexis, you're a lion. Why do you keep acting so fucking weak? He's like, I've just really beat the shit out. And I was just like, okay, you would do that? Okay, yeah, you. And he was like, shut the fuck up and get in your room. Go to your room. Because he was standing out in front of my room and my bedroom, my hallway. And so I said, okay, I'm going to my room. Okay, now what? He's like, look in your drawer. And I'm like, what are you talking? He said, this is going to help you. He said, see, you don't know how to talk to no nigga. You don't know how to talk to no man. You been like a weak ass bitch and whining and scary and shit. I'm going to show you. See, if I was here, I'd talk to the nigga. And I would handle this. He said, you got to talk to him like a man. I'm going to tell you what to fucking say. And I'm going to tell you what to do. And I was like, what? I'm going to say that? He was like, yeah, that's what the fuck you going to say? Look in your drawers. I started looking through the drawers. I didn't know what I was looking for. I forgot I had it. And I'm looking at some papers. As I'm looking through the papers, he said that. He said, you never used it because you think you're so weak and you have no power. And he was like, look at it. And it was stuff tied to him. And I was just like, what do you want me to do? He's like, you know what I want you to do? You're going to tell him this and you're going to show him that. And so one of my friends who knows a lot about the law, because she dealt with a similar situation with her marriage, but she was legally married. So I'm like, well, what can I do? I'm not legally married. I don't know what I can do. But I know we've been together a long time. I don't know if legally I have any bearing. He said, you do. I called her and I said, Nipsey just cussed me out. He told me to go in my room and look for papers. I forgot I had the papers. And she said, well, what is that? I said, it's some documents I have, and it's about him. And then she said, text it to me. I text her the documents and he signed them. But see, he clearly forgot and I forgot. And she called me back and she was laughing. And I said, what's funny? She was like, girl, Nipsey's right. You have him by the balls. I said, I do? She's like, yeah. He's not going to be able to put you out. You have this and he forgot you. I say, he clearly forgot I had it, or he basically knows that I would never execute it out of fear. And she says, if you do that, you have no reason to be afraid because there's nothing he can do to you. I'm saying, are you sure? She's like, girl, you know I'm sure. I know about this type of thing. I'm dealing with this type of thing right now. So I don't say anything, but he said, tell him what I said. And he's like, are you ready to get out? You're going to get out. I have you served. I said, you know what? I think it's a good idea if you have me served, because that way I will get a few moments in front of the judge And when I do, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say that, and I'm going to show this. And he gasped, and he got real quiet. He was like, you know what? I don't care what you're saying. You're still going to get out of my house. And it doesn't matter. I got a lot of pull. I got a lot of friends. I got a lot of power that you don't know about. And you're still not going to win. Hung up on me. Then I guess he went and talked to some people he know, his real estate agent, his wife, whatever. He then calls back and says, it was a few days later, because he was still talking to me. He was screaming on the phone, I'm not going to do nothing. You say, you get the fuck out of my house. And I ain't helping you. And you ain't going to be able to do nothing. You ain't going to get away with doing nothing. I was like, yeah, okay. He then calls me back and goes, he starts an argument with me again. We were in the middle of the thing. He was getting ready to go to housing court with the health department. I said, I'm going to talk to the judge, and I'm going to tell them this, and I'm going to show them that, and I'm going to say this and that, like Nipsey told me to say. He then goes, do you still want this house? I was like, yeah and no, because I really don't, because you tore it up. But then in the same place, I'm not going to go to a shelter, and then I said, I'll go to a hotel if I have to. If you don't want to negotiate, I said, but then I'm going to talk to the judge. I'm going to make you evict me so I can talk to the judge. That's what I'm going to do. Then he goes, you know what? You want it? I said, yeah, at least for now. He's like, well, I'll make arrangements, and I'm going to fix this. I'm going to fix that. And you can have it. I said, I thought you said that I couldn't. And I thought you said that you had another buyer, and you would, no matter what happened, you would never, ever give me the option to buy it. You would never give it to me because you don't want to do it. And you'd rather sell it to someone else than I'd be the last person you give it to. He then comes back and says, you know what? We talked about it, and I'm going to decide. I've decided that I will give you the option if that's what you want. I said, yeah, I do. Yeah and no, but it's better than nothing for now. All that shit he talked, and I was so scared. I was shaking, and I did what he told me to do, and I said what he told me to say. I already knew, because he didn't know. I didn't tell him everything I had, but I had enough on him that he knew if we had walked into that court, and he knew that this was the first time in my life out of 20 years I had the nerve. I think he knew I was going to go through it this time because I was tired of the abuse. He must have knew I was going to do it, because that's when he said, look, I don't want to go to court. Can we just resolve just like that? Can we, or what did one girl, I don't know who she is, she's so cute. She comes over here, and when I say something, or when she's on the video, she goes the yeah, straight like that, just straight like that. It was just straight like that. Out of cursing me, calling me names, I'm not going to do nothing, and he never did it. I begged him for years to give it to me or let me buy it. I'll never give it to you. I'll never sell it to you. You ain't got nothing. You ain't got no money. I said, yeah, because you stole it all. And you've been suppressing me and basically controlling my life because I trusted you and put all my businesses with yours. You'll never be able to get it. I will never give it to you. I'll sell it to someone else if I sell it to you. I have been begging. I'm like, I deserve it. You lied to me about the other times, the things we were going to do, and the businesses and the houses we were going to have. I deserve it. And he was like, you don't deserve it. It's mine. And I'll never give it to you. I'll never give it to you. I'll sell it to someone else. You'll never have the right of first refusal. You'll never have the option. He said that to me for years. But this particular time that I stood up to him, that's when I got it. You're right. He did tell me to leave, Marissa. In 2019, he started saying he was going to do this. I did not, and I'm glad I did not, because he kept saying he wanted me to leave when he was doing it to me. And I kept saying, Nipsey, you have to be able to give me another option because I have nowhere to go. And now I'm glad I did not, because he said, okay, let me help you with another option if you have the nerve to do it, if you have the guts to do it, because I would have just been out on the street, and rents are so high in Atlanta right now. They're so bad. I would have to come up with that stuff. And he was my landlord, and I had been here for 20 years. I had nobody give me a reference. I knew he would make sure he would give me such a bad reference I wouldn't be able to get anything. He wanted to see me out on the street, and that's what he said. I'm going to see you out on the street, and your friends are going to see you, and everybody's going to see you out here, and they're going to laugh. I wasn't going to do that. Yes. That's what you said, Quashonda Davis. Yes, I wasn't going to do that. And he was like, I don't want you. He's still saying he wants me to leave now. He doesn't want, he's like, I don't, the energy. And now you see, he watches me just like he called me. And he was like, oh, so are your carpets selling? Are your chairs selling? And I'm like, how does nigga know I got carpets and chairs and tables? It's like the whole line. How did he know about that? He had to be watching and to keep up with that and do that shit. And yeah, Quashonda Davis, he had always been doing me like that. And I did not have nobody to help me fight, or I didn't even think I could fight. I didn't even think I had a leg to stand on, which is a creator. Thank you for clearing that up. I was so confused as to why Nip wouldn't tell you to leave. No, he did in 2019, but I still didn't have nowhere to go at the time. And I wasn't prepared to. And I didn't even think I had anything to fight with. There was nowhere for me to go because of the situation. And I was still dealing with my illness, my ongoing illness. I really didn't remember. I was like so scared of him. And I noticed every time he would say something or he would do something to me, he would get away with it. And he had a lot of people in power like he does now that would cover him. And nobody ever believed me. They always believed what he said. And I wasn't telling people what he was doing. He was saying I was crazy. I had the mental problem. It was like once he got here, he was like, go in your room. Look at, pull the drawer open, and I'm looking through stuff. And I'm like, what am I looking for? I didn't know what I was looking for. And I said, oh, I had a whole envelope full of shit. And he's like, that. Do you have the nerve to pull the trigger? Because I ain't have nothing, Leon Moore. Spiritual gifts. Nobody in the Black community honored me or would support what I do or donate to me or get readings or help build my business. They all help destroy it. I didn't have anybody. I didn't have an education, job, family, nobody, nothing. And I was dealing with illness. Since this guy poisoned me in 2012, 2013, I could barely walk or leave my house. I had no resources. I had nobody to turn on. I only had him. And he would always remind me that I only had him, had nobody, nothing. And nobody believed in me to give me a chance. Nobody to go live with, no family, nobody. And just was a lot of fear and insecurity. So I'm thinking, to have someone, I know I can see you, I know I can hear you, but you're physically not here, and people are laughing, and he's not there. You're a liar, you're crazy. And he's like, I'm here and I'm telling you, this guy's going to fuck you again. He's been fucking you for years, and you better prepare for it. He's going to throw you outside if you don't want to play this game. And I'm just like, oh my God. And I started asking other people I trusted. They're like, that is him. And you're hearing this guy's going to fuck you again because he cannot control you. And I would not sleep with him. So a part of me, yeah, that's why I'm like, is this real? Is this guy saying this? And these other readers are telling me that's him, and this guy's going to do that. He did it. But see, he's always done, not at first. We got along very well. We were very close. We were together every day. We did everything every day. I didn't know that was it. He was that type of person. Like the first few years with us was great. I thought he was the best man I ever met, the best man I ever had. I didn't see that coming. I didn't want to believe that was that type of person, especially somebody older, very intelligent, very established. I just didn't want to believe. I really thought he was the best thing that I ever had. And he took care of my sons in the private school. He was a really good guy at first. I didn't know nothing and no marriage, none of that. And when he turned into this monster, I know he didn't turn into a monster. He was already that. He just didn't show me that. When I got with him, it turned into a nightmare. But yeah, I'm just being honest with you. I was really afraid of him. I was very intimidated by him, and I knew he had more than me. He knew more than me. He had more influences, like powerful, very powerful ties that he had and still has. And that's why he was bragging to me, you know what? I'm going to get out of this like I get out of everything. He even told the inspector that you don't know who I am. You don't know who I know. And I'm telling you, everything you're trying to make me do, I'm not doing none of it. I'm going to get out of it. All I have to do is make a phone call. He was talking to her like that and threatening her. You ain't going to make me do nothing. You don't know who you dealing with. And basically did get away with a lot of the stuff because he didn't repair a lot of the stuff, even though we had it in right. We have it in writing. He still said, I don't have to honor anything I did with her. Even though I put her in writing, she can just sue me. That's what insurance is for. She can just make my insurance pay her. I know I'm going to have to pay her, but I don't have to pay it out of my pocket. That's what insurance is for. I'm not going to honor nothing that I put in writing for Alexis I was going to do. That's how dirty this guy is. But for some reason, you said he wanted to own. Yes, he wanted to own me. And he was like, if I take care of you, you belong to me. You're going to devote your whole life to me. And I'm just like, you know what, Heart Tunes TV? You're reading my mind. Now I wonder what else has he done? And who else has he done something to? You said it's like what Nip said. You're a lioness. He's like, but you don't know it. You're acting so weak. And that's why these people keep kicking you because they want to break you and take your power because you really are strong. But you've been through so much hurt and pain and you're afraid. You feel like by cowering, nobody's just going to let you slide. Nobody's going to do anything to you. He said, but he keeps doing things and disrespecting you. And you're going to fight. If you want to talk to me, if you want me to respect you, he's like, I already see what you don't see. I know you're going to win, and I know how you can beat him. You're gonna do what you don't want to do. And I'm just like, so you're asking me to like say that? Like that's wrong or that's like blackmail. He's like, Alexis, that's not blackmail because what you're saying is true. Go in your room and look in the drawer. And when I looked in the drawer, I'm like, I got all this evidence on this dirty ass motherfucker right here. But he knew I wasn't gonna pull the trigger. He was like, so I don't care. You ain't gonna do nothing to me. Whatever you say, they're gonna let me off because of who I know and judges and politicians and all. I mean, this is a guy that would come to my house some days brag. And guess what? He likes to play golf. He's like, just who I just play golf with. I just play golf with the mayor. And we talked about this and that. And he's helping my business. And I play with this politician. I know that politician. I know the police chief of this area and that. And he's saying this. And I'm seeing that he has power. I don't. He has people in high places that, like you said, they all do dirty shit. We know they corrupt. Well, I wash your hand and you wash mine. And he had money. So he was doing stuff like that. And I seen him do it to other people and get away with it. I saw him do it to this other lady that when her husband died, he fucked that lady over and she had to fight him. He told her she wasn't going to win, but I saw she fought him and she did win. So I was scared to do that until he kept saying, Nips kept saying, you have the gun and the bullets and you're scared to pull the trigger. And I'm like, what bullets do I have? Because I didn't know. He's like, go in there. They've been sitting there. And I'm looking. I said, oh, we. And then that's when I told my friend, she's like, text it to me. And she called back. She's dying laughing. I said, what do you like? She said, girl, you got this nigga by the balls. Nipsey's right. You got this nigga by the balls. Now, are you going to do it? Are you going to? And I was like, I'm scared. She was like, girl, scared of what? Look at what the fuck you sent me. And I'm like, that's powerful. Like, I can use that. She was like, girl, get the fuck out of here. Do you see this shit? And I was like, okay. What if it don't work? She's like, girl, it's gonna work. It's sick. You got all this shit. I didn't even know I had it until I said, I've been so out of my head. And I ain't been feeling good. I've been sick for years. I forgot I had it right here. With stuff he wrote and shit he said. And she's just laughing. I brought it up to her. I said, I shared it with everybody the other night. And a lot of people were proud of me. And we laughed. I said, remember when I texted to you, you called me back laughing. She said, oh my God, you're sitting on a gold mine. He can't put you out. Where ain't no judge gonna put you out of what you just showed me? And she's like, girl, let me hold on to this in case something happened to you or the nigga erase your phone or try. Because he was like, leave all your furniture in here and walk away. Leave everything and just walk away. And I'm thinking, he must have really thought I was a weak, dumb bitch because now that I saw in the drawer what I forgot I had, if I had left all my stuff and just got out of his house, he's like, I'll take care of your furniture. I'll take care of your stuff. I'll throw it away, this and that. He would have seen it and would have destroyed it. And I forgot I had it, knowing I'm out of my head, feeling so fucked up from the mold infection and shit, and it really affects your memory and your brain. He would have gotten rid of all the evidence. And that's another reason why I did not want to leave. I said, Nipsey, I can't just move out of here and leave the mold and stuff in here, because he'll go behind my back and he'll get everybody to wipe everything. So that when I deal with the lawsuit, with mold poison, all this stuff, but if he practiced magic, it's not working no more. It ain't no power no more, because I won. I won. And he can't put me out of nowhere. Can't nobody put me out of here no motherfucking moment. Can't nobody threaten to put me out of here. So I broke that spell by standing up and standing in my own power. He has no more power over me. Would you say Lamar and Levita, they're out here to steal, kill, and destroy your power? Oh, well, he helped me know it. He helped me know it because I never stood in it. And always walking around afraid. And I started my own mother doing that and my own family doing that to me. And basically everybody I met in the past made me feel like I needed them and they were stronger and that I was weak and a victim and shit. And I lived that way because that's how life looked to me. Things like that always in the past, I always lost when I would try to fight because I didn't know how to fight, or I didn't know that I knew or had leverage or power. And I always was taught to feel weak and powerless. And I know now how that happened. Like I've always told you all, I explained what happened, but it's really kind of fucked up, isn't it? That it took someone that was physically dead, yet still has the heart of a lion and still alive, that I had no men in their body in my life to come sit down with me and say, Alexis, you don't have to let somebody do this, and let me show you the ways to get out of here. Let me show you the power you really have, or what do you know, or what have you experienced, or do you know anything about him, or what tools do you have, and let me give you some, and let me show you how to deal with a motherfucking nigga. A street dirty ass nigga that's a narcissist, as well as deals with business and have connections. Because this was like, you don't know how to talk to this nigga. See, you can't talk to this nigga as a woman that's afraid and weak and vulnerable. He got your life unstable and got you living here, and you're vulnerable and you don't own nothing, so you can't fucking say nothing. You're just a tenant that he's trying to turn into a sex slave and own you like property. You need to talk to him like a nigga. See, you don't know how to talk to a nigga like I do, but I'm gonna tell you what to say and what to fucking do. Shut the fuck up whining. Do what the fuck I told you, and call the nigga and say this, that. And I'm just, it's sad that I had to hear that from somebody that's not in a physical body, that's a real nigga, that can look at people, places, and things and know how to deal with people from the lowest street level to the mid-level to the highest level, and know how niggas think and move. He said, this is how you gonna talk to this nigga. Like a nigga, not like a whining female like you acting like, because that ain't gonna get you nowhere, because that's got you where the fuck you at right now. And he's like, girl, it's like the way you act. He was so angry. I literally seen his face change, like it changed colors. He's like, he's like, the way you are acting, the way you act. Oh, he's like, the way you act right now, I feel like beating your motherfucking ass. I was like, I deserve it. Yeah, you beat my ass. Is how you feel. Okay, I understand how you feel, shit. And you want to shut up. Shut that shit up. You sound so fucking weak. And that's not the reason I'm talking to you like this, because I know you're a lion. And lions don't get thrown in the street, depending on charity of a shelter, eating in a soup kitchen, crying. And I was just standing there, and I'm just shaking and I'm crying. And he's just like, you need to fucking stop. Why don't you be who you are? Who you're born to be. You've never been who you are. And that's the first time that's really what you said, who a real boss lady. And I wondered, did he talk to any women like that he was dealing with, that he wanted to bring the greatness out of them because they helped him and were there for him? And he was like, Alexa, I can't listen to this anymore, because I tried to warn you 2 years ago, and you still up here scary and shaking the shit, and you're not a weak person. You're not a punk bitch, but you keep doing it. And that's why people keep stepping on you. You don't have shit and you wait for people to help you and you wait for people to open doors and somebody say they're going to do something to you and you wait and wait and wait and it never fucking happens. And they tell you that because they know you're a good person and you're an honest person and your word is bond and you think their word is bond because your word is bond. And they sit here and fuck up you and have you living like a weakling and in fucking destitute and impoverished conditions and tell you deserve it. And they're going to keep doing it. Because you don't want to know who you are and you don't want to believe it because nobody else act like they believe in you and nobody ever gave you a chance and they promised you, but they lied to you and they poisoned you, they stuck you, they set you up, they stole from you like him. And so many people over and over and over and over again, and now you have nothing and nobody and you're almost dead. Do you understand that these people really want to destroy you and keep you from not knowing who you are? And as long as you sit there and cry and whine and deal with a health issue that you won't fix and you won't address him or anybody else, and you're living here miserable and you're crying about the past, you're going to die here. Do you understand? But I would really like to beat your ass first before you die, because maybe you'll wake up and decide you want to fucking do something about it. Because that's how I'm so mad at you, I want to beat the fuck out of you. And if I was in my body, I would I'll beat the fuck out of you like right now. And I'm just like, that's fair. That's okay. I understand I understand you want to beat me up. That's right. Shut up. Just shut up. Because I'm tired of you letting this happen over and over. And you don't think that you can change it. You believe in everybody else that do fucked up shit to you. And you just sit there and whimper and shit. I just don't want to hear it. You're making me mad. The more you whimper, I want to do something to you my damn self. I'm listening. I'm like, but it's not my fault and I can't do it. It's like, yeah, you could have stopped this a long time ago, but you're too scared and you feel like you had no power and no money. And this man's just talking to me like this. And I did not get mad. I'm just, yeah, I need to get my ass beat. Yeah, I think you should whoop my ass. And you was here, I just take you're right, and I do, and I'm a punk bitch and all this stuff. And he's like, just shut up. Shut up. Just do what the fuck I said. I'm like, yeah, I know I deserve that, and I would let you do it, and that's what I should get, an ass whipping and all. I was telling my friend, and I was like, I'm so embarrassed. I said, I ain't told nobody this. I told her, she was dying laughing. She was like, what? I was like, and everything he was saying, I'm agreeing with. I do need my ass beat. And that's right. And I would let you beat it. I would say nothing. It was like, he was gritting. I said, I wonder, did he have this kind of temper? Because he was so angry with me. And he said, you're a lion. Do this nigga like this. And so I did. Yes, Bugatti. I'm so embarrassed to tell y'all that. Want to give you a break. I know. He was like, I wish I was in my body now. He said, because I'll kick your motherfucking ass. I'll beat the shit out your motherfucking neck, because that's what the fuck you need. An ass beating, and I'm the nigga to do this shit. And I was like, you're right. That's right. And I ain't never told no nigga that was right to beat my ass. And I've been threatened before, and I'm like, well, come do I need an ass beating? I ain't never sit up there and agree with no shit like that. Like, you know what? I just might need a wake up call like an ass beating. Okay. And then I'm just like, I wonder, did he ever have a temper like that where a bitch say some shit, or he think the bitch like he can't really deal with the shit, or the bitch saying some shit to irritate him, or some stupid, irrelevant shit. And it's like, you know what? I'm finna beat this bitch ass right quick, because I can't take this bitch out of pocket, and I'm tired of this. I can't take this shit no more. I'm finna whoop her motherfucking ass. I don't know if he ever got into it. I mean, I heard he got into it with Tanisha a few times when they fight each other. I know he'll whoop a nigga, but he was like, you know, you're really pushing me right now. Really pushing me. He's like, you better be glad I'm not in my body, because it's the way I feel about you and what I see that you are, that you don't see what you are, and you've let so many people walk over you and fuck over you. He's like, I put my foot in your motherfucking ass. And I was like, I think I need that. That's right. I need an ass beating. I need a good, that devil probably said, devil. He's like, shut up. Okay, go and look for what I told you. He says, right over there. I started looking and I was like, still, like I said, up there like a bitch, punk bitch. But what if I do this and it does? He says, it's gonna work. Cause I know niggas. He's like, I know niggas. I know what his motivation is, and he doesn't want to lose anything, and he doesn't want to be exposed. Would you say, Lamar? Tell him that aphrodisiac pimp, that pimp man was strong. Don't say strong, not STSK. Strong. What you said, but you said Crips don't like punks around. Really, boss lady girl? I did not know. I didn't know how angry. I knew he was angry because when he first told me, and we got here, and he was angry because he was like, "Why did you believe that that's me? But you believe that's me when I say everything else." And I didn't act. I'm like, I don't. I have to get myself together. I have to get my health together. I have to go start looking. I can't drive. I'm too swollen. This and that. He's like, Alexis, I'm telling you, this is gonna happen to you. You said you grew up in a house with a gang. So, oh wow, thank you, boss lady, because I don't know. This is my first time dealing with a crib, even though it's spiritual. She says she grew up in the house. Wow. So you know how. So what are you saying? They don't like weak women, or what do you say? They don't pick weak women, or when they see a woman and they find out she's weak in certain areas, and she's not trying to grow up and deal with that area and be strong, do they then get on them or try to deal with them? And if they don't, what do they cut them off, boss lady? If those women don't listen to them and learn how to be really strong, he said, Alexis, it'll do you better if you look like a woman. But when you deal with these types of situations, Alexis, you're gonna have to think like a man and deal with a nigga like a hard leg ass nigga. Even though you look feminine and that will throw them off and trick them, he's like, you're gonna have to with someone like him, being a soft female and crying. He said you're gonna have to talk to him like a nigga and deal with him like a nigga. You said he's trying to bring that greatness out of you. Yes, Jacrisha. And yeah, I'm so glad I got somebody that knows how they think. That way you could tell me if I'm lying or not, if I heard him or not. That's how he was talking. He's like, I'm not playing with you. And what you don't understand is, he said, because you've been doing it so long, and I went in the past and I saw how you let him do that and just living in fear and cowering, thinking everything will be okay if you just don't fight and you let people step on you. He's like, the way I feel, I seen you did. He's like, I want to beat your ass, like real, beat some sense into you. That's what he said. I will beat these shit. And he's like, that's what I want to do because now you got me mad. Where I want to put my motherfucking hands on you because of the way you're acting out of character. You don't even know who you are and what you are. You don't even see what I see. He's saying, and maybe if I beat your ass, maybe you'll get some motherfucking sense or some act right and shit. Because this is not. He said, you're gonna lose. You're gonna die, and you're gonna lose. If you, he said, you're not gonna win with what you're doing and the way you're doing it, and you keep fucking begging him, or you keep whining and arguing back and forth, and he thinks it's funny, and you're not really taking. You don't see what I'm seeing. This is not gonna end well for you. You said, well, I grew up in the house with a gangster crib. You said they get down. He trying to, you said, okay, a boss lady, Nichols, hats off to you. Trying to see what else boss lady has to say. You said, my sister-in-law said my brother always made her feel protected as a woman before she divorced him. Wow, she divorced him. What you say, John, with everything, go, extortion, violence, etc. Really? See, I don't know. This is new to me. And I was like, the more you tell me to fight him, the worse things get every time I fight him. And then he becomes more brutal and like, no, you're getting out. I'm going to destroy you. So you're making it worse because you're making me fight. And he was like, I'm not making it worse by making you fight. He's bluffing because he sees you as a weak female because he knows you're scared to stand up and be a lion. If you do, he said, this is the last thing I'm going to tell you to do. He said, and that's going to work. When he told me to go look through my drawers and I forgot I had this paperwork on his ass. And he was like, if you do that, and this is what I'm going to tell you to say, this is what you're going to say. He told me exactly word for word what to say. And when I did, he talked that shit and hung up on me. I ain't doing shit. I ain't giving you shit. Get out. And I told the inspector, and the inspector said, he said, you got to get out. He's not giving you nothing. And I was like, you see what I'm talking about? You see? And I said, see, you got me in trouble. Again, he's like, no, do what I said and say what I said. Now that you found what I told you, you forgot you had. And I asked my friend who deals with legal things and marriages, prenups, all these things. And I let her see it. And she's like, girl, you got him. You got this nigga. And he don't know you got him. She's like, don't tell. I said, I ain't gonna tell him. But I said what he told me to say. And when I said that, he still hung up on me. I ain't doing shit. I ain't giving you shit. You getting the fuck on the street. Everybody gonna see you on the street. And that's when he comes back a few days. Do you really still want it? You really still want it? I was like, yeah, no. But at least I won't be outside. He said, my brother wasn't a gang member, but is and was a street guy, OG. Thank you, Sister Bell. You said exactly. You fight, just switch up. But see, I didn't fight him before. I didn't fight him. I depressed and gorilla. Yo ho, yeah. When he was telling me straight up to do something real raw like that, I'm like, what? I'm not. He said, yeah. He said, I already see him. I already seen the situation. I know what a bitch ass nigga this is who disrespects women and as a coward. He said, dude, you got him. Now you see, you got him. She's like, well, Kingnip loved you and had your best intent. Yeah. And I, oh boy, I never had a man. I told men what was happening to me and they didn't tell me like how to fight. And some of them was like, I want to be with you. If you just leave him, I would treat you much better than him. But I'm like, help me get out. And I don't want to get out. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the things too I didn't do. I didn't want to leave living with a man and depending on a man to jump in the house with another man who's paying my bills and being dependent. I didn't want to do that. I'm like, no, that's not smart to keep copping from nigga to nigga. And then that nigga know what you've been through. He'll get man and do it to you too. It's like Nip would be wrong with that fool. You said after an argument that it would be wrong. He said the pens mightier than the sword. We see you went, yeah. So you played it right and stayed virtuous. I didn't want to do like jump around like that. I want to have my own money and figure out how to get out. And I would talk. And these were men that were very successful over the years who said, I would take care of you. I would never do you like that. But they always say that when they want you. So I said, why don't you just help me or give me a job? And they didn't want to give me no job. And the prophet said, can you help me learn a new skill, like businesses they were in? They didn't want to do that when I didn't want to do something sexual. So I was like, no, I'm going to figure out how to get out on my own and get my own money so that I'll never be living with nobody, having to fuck nobody or depend on none of that shit. They said, a real God gonna make you the plug instead of the connect. Oh, I like that, John Wick. Go ahead. And that's I got so embarrassed. I'm embarrassed, but I'm telling y'all, I ain't gonna tell y'all. I'm just not telling y'all that little part. I'm just like, when I told a couple of my friends, like I said, I told the girl, she died laughing. She said, oh my God, Nips is right. You got him. You got this nigga. You don't even know what you got. I said, I forgot. My mind been so foggy with this mold infection and shit in my head and all of my body. I didn't even remember none of this shit. I didn't know it. And like the documents he gave me that I'm looking at the years, they go back to like 2004, 2007. I said, girl, I didn't know that I had something this old, like that comes up to now to show this guy is a liar. And these are legal documents because they were notarized in time steps. I said, I did not know. She said, girl, do you realize you're sitting on a gold mine? I said, I didn't. I didn't. Um, she said, you don't have to be scared no more. He's not going to be able to do nothing to you legally. No judge will put you out behind seeing this. And you said, Nip, how introducing you to Sosa? What's Sosa? It says your ex had you out here playing cowboy with Frank and Frank. Yeah. You said, introduce you to Sosa? What's that? I learned from you all. It is embarrassing, y'all. You said, time is a spell. I'm on a whole frequency. And yeah, when he just started talking to me like that, I mean, just like a real nigga. I was like, look, this is how you're going to see this. This is how men think. This is how men play with women who won't stand up. Yes, Scarface, yes. Who won't stand up for themselves and who don't know who they are. And they done snatched the rug from under the female and taking their money and got you to depend on them. And then like kicking you and dogging you like you're a slave. on a plantation with the lowest level, basically subsisting because you gave them all your power. And he's saying, this is how this nigga's thinking, and this is how you handle a nigga like that, and this is how you talk to a nigga like that. He's like, if I was there, it's several things I would do to the nigga. He would never bother you no more. He's like, but you gotta do what I said, and you gotta say what I said. Yeah. I'm really gonna tell none of y'all this. I was so like completely like embarrassed, but at the same time, I won. Now he's begging me to come into, it was his house that is now my house, that I have to let him in, that he cannot come in without my permission. He cannot take anything from me. He cannot threaten. Hey, Natalie. He cannot threaten me. He cannot evict me. He cannot threaten to evict me. He cannot force his way in here with his own key. He cannot do nothing to me no more. Nothing. Because it's mine. Mine. It's sad that I let myself go through so many years of pain to finally do that. But I didn't think it would ever happen because he kept saying it'll never happen. I'll never give it to you. I'll never sell it to you. None of that. You can forget it. It'll always be somebody, but it won't be you. And it is me. It is me. The one you said it would never be. It is me. But just a little more. You said John Wick understands the principles of pouring into their receiver so she can multiply and amplify what he has given her. Yeah. Now I don't have that stress and my life is more stable so I can get well. He said, damn, Nip is a real G. Woo, you're a lucky girl. Well, let me rephrase that. You are lucky to have each other. Yeah, because I'm sad because I didn't meet that in the body. I didn't. I'm so glad y'all still donate to me because I'm not going to forget everybody that has stuck with me and donated. And because one day I look forward to us like having classes where we actually get to hang out in ATL and party like it's 1999. Because I never thought, because he would always tell me it would never happen. I never thought, yeah, he's a Mason. If you're talking about my ex, he's a Mason. He's in law enforcement, military, all of that. Yeah. And it was stuff I didn't know about his life because he told me he was one way. And then I started finding out his life, but he hid a lot of things from me. And that's why he would always get away with shit. And his family's law enforcement and military. So he was like, I ain't worried about that. All I got to call is my police brother, or he's a sheriff in Clayton County, and call this person, that person, or people, politician at City Hall. I will get off with it. Whatever I do to you, or whatever I want to do, or whatever I stop you from doing, I'll get away with it because I know this person and that person. All I gotta do is make a phone call. And that's what he told the lady, the inspector at the health department. You can't make me do nothing. You don't know who you're talking to. You don't know who I know. I know people in very high places. All I have to do is make a phone call and you will be gone. You ain't gonna do nothing to me, and you ain't gonna make me do nothing. That's what she told me that he told her. And he was like, and I'll get away with it. And that's what he has always told me over the years. I don't have to respect you. I don't have to do nothing you say. I don't have to listen to nothing you say. You don't matter because you don't know who I am, and you don't know what I know. You don't know what I know. Just like when he said that shit a couple of weeks ago. Do you understand that when women turn men out and men kill them, do you understand that that's something that they bring on themselves? That's something that they do to themselves. And I'm just like, nigga, you asking me to come back over here? And said, you're obsessed with me, but if I keep on doing shit to make you obsessed and turning you out, if you lay me down in a coffin, you gonna say that I did that to myself. Nigga, why the fuck would I let you back up in here? I'm like, this nigga said this shit. It would not be my fault. It is not any of these men's fault that kill these women for turning them out like that. It's the woman's fault when you find them. Did the fuck out this nigga to do what the fuck I think he said? Calmly and totally fucking relaxed. said that shit. It was like kind of like, see that, like laughing with the shit. You know, like a female ain't shit. She ain't nobody. And people in those type of authority situations, even if they retire, they have that type of narcissistic, arrogant kind of fucking attitude. You know, a lot of police kill people and kill their wife and shit and get away with that shit. Yeah, John Wick, I didn't really know. You know, I was just innocent and shit. I went out there in the streets and shit like that. I'm trying to, you know, Jesus is the rock and all that shit and myself. I'm thinking that I'm going to get what I want because I do the right thing. I'm a good person. No, the fuck you. Fuck you. Ain't that nigga saying that shit and was just laughing like this nigga fucking eating some cheese and crackers or having a sample. So you understand that's on Tim, right? And that'll be on you because what you did to me. And I'm just like, I didn't say that. I'm saying to myself, I'm like, y'all hear that shit? I'm asking the spirit, said, did y'all hear what this nigga just said? I said, I got to tell somebody this here. That's why I had told to y'all a couple of weeks ago, and I was so depressed on my birthday, and partly because he said that and kept on fucking calling and kept on motherfucking texting. And I'm like, girl, let me tell you, this nigga just told me. Laughing like it was a joke. You said, yep, like dudes who have said to me, don't make me rape. You see what I'm saying? And then they'll say, you did it. You made them do that shit. Yes, boss lady. I'm glad you was in here confirm that shit. Because I'm just like, I don't know what I would have done. If I didn't have him and the spirit talking to me and telling me what to do, I don't know what I would have done because I was asking other men for advice not to sleep with them and not to be with them. I wasn't gonna jump out the frying pan into the fire again. I'm just like, can you please tell me how men think and what should I do and what should I say and how I should handle this and all these motherfucking niggas, I don't know. You should just go and you should. I was like, go where? And then be a victim again by staying with somebody or staying in a shelter or being here to and fro, knowing I already had the upper respiratory I was dealing with the mold. I'd be in a shelter and be exposed to COVID and every fucking thing else. And I don't have COVID. I'm like, nah, that's not safe. Then I'll just be treated like a vagabond again, a victim. I cannot do, well, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you just get this house, get the fuck out the man house and all that shit. And people put it in the comments. But other people's like, Drip, you better fight, goddammit. You better fight, Drip. And I'm like, yeah, but it's his house. Just get out. It's his house. All the stupid motherfuckers saying that. But there was only a few people. I think like 95% was the ones was like, fight, Drip. Fight. It was only a few coward, weak motherfuckers. Just get out that man house and leave that man alone. Leave that man house. That's that man house. He done told you guys, just get out that man house. I'm listening to the one saying, fight, Drip. Fight, Drip. And this nigga is like, I told you to leave. It's an either or. You leave or you stay. I really don't want you to be this nigga so dirty to you. But if you must stay for now, you have to win. Because if you do not win, at least you're going to be in the street and you're going to die. You're going to get sicker. So let me tell you what to do. I really don't want you to stay, but let me tell you how to stay. And I'm like, I can't stay as a tenant because he already told them that I owe him money that I don't fucking owe. Just dirty. I did not owe him no money, but he told them I did owe him money. And they were like, well, you need to put your rent in escrow because he said you already 3 months behind. I, what? Okay, 3 months behind the rent. He fucking lying. It doesn't matter. He said you are. Do you have receipts to prove you not? And I'm like, no, I don't have no receipts. And he didn't say I had to pay. Well, he's saying it now. Put it in escrow or you're going to have to pay him and you're in the wrong and he could sue you. I'm just like, I don't believe this nigga lying. Yeah, and I told him you owe me money. I said, but I don't. Well, you do now. Just dirty shit. And that's when he was like, Alexis, look, this is not going to go well unless you sit up here and fuck and suck, and we know you ain't doing that. Especially sick like that. This nigga don't even care that you sick and your legs swollen and you're supposed to hold him up in the air and let him do dirty shit to you while you can barely fucking walk. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. And he was like, well, this is your only solution. I'm going to tell you what other niggas don't tell you because clearly these niggas don't really give a fuck about you. They some weak ass niggas and watching that shit and won't even tell you how to defend yourself and they won't defend you either. This is what you're going to do. And that's why I'm laying here talking to you right now unbothered, with no more swollen legs. Very calmly. Finally, in the position in his house that he said I would never be in, that he no longer owns. Just drip. I love y'all. I'll talk to you later.